Welcome to the warm-up list, audience building for course creators. So you're ready to launch an online art course. Only problem is you don't have an audience yet. No audience, no problem. Inside of this training, I am going to break down for you how to build your email list so that you are ready to launch your online art course. Imagine what it would feel like to have an email list full of super fans who are just waiting for you to launch your art course. Imagine how that would feel. Well, I just want to tell you a really quick story. I had the most amazing experience at the end of May. I got to travel to Connecticut and I got to teach a live in-person workshop to an amazing group of women. And my favorite part about it was that almost all of the women, I shouldn't say all of them, but quite a few of the women were some of my online art students. And it felt so amazing. It was literally like getting to hang out with some of my super fans, right? And so inside of this training, I am going to walk you through the path that you need to take to turn your warm leads into super fans. Okay, well, I also want to premise that to say that, it sounds kind of cheesy using the term super fans, but it really was like teaching a course or a retreat with some of my very best friends. And that is because I have had the opportunity through teaching on my platform to build a community of artists, and I've been able to build my tribe of people. And that is the beautiful thing about launching and teaching online courses. So, how do you take those warm leads and turn them into super fans? Now, really quick, I want you not to make the same mistake that I made. Okay? Don't do it. I literally took 12 years of running my business before I officially started my online email list. Don't do that. Start today. So really quickly, before we dive into some different ways to start building your list today, I want to take just a minute and talk about why it's important. Why do you even need an email list? And especially in this day and age where we have social media, right? What is the need to have an email list? And I just want to emphasize that this single thing is probably the greatest source of revenue for my business, above sharing on social media, above anything else. My email list brings in the greatest amount of income. And the reason for that is because social media is not reliable in terms of marketing. Yes, it does play a part, but you cannot guarantee that your post is going to be shown to every single one of your followers, even your super fans. They might not even be on social media. So it's so incredibly important that your business does not rely only on social media, but that you have an email list so that you can communicate with your students and with any of your future students. So that is really one of the most important things to establish before you even think through what you're going to teach, what platform you're going to teach from, and what everything's going to look like. Trust me, I love course creation. But before everything, you need to establish your email list. And the sooner you do that, the better. Again, I really wish, looking back, that I had been more serious about building my email list. And when I look back at how I started and how I began teaching for other platforms, I wish I had a opt-in lead magnet that got those students from the other platforms onto my email list. I know that once I started to launch my own platform, that I would have had such a better resource or pool of customers to actually draw from once I wanted to start my own platform. So even if you don't have a platform, please start building your email list today. My name is Wendy Brightville. If you haven't met me before, I am an artist, I'm an educator. I like to say that I am an innovator because I love innovating my process, and I love innovating in order to teach my students. And I'm also a mentor. 3 years ago, I dove into not only teaching technique courses, but also working one-on-one with artists, and also in my group mentorship program, where I have mentored hundreds of artists in how to go from a hobby artist to a professional artist. And so I love mentoring other artists and giving them tools and tips and ways to get to where I've gotten, only faster. And so that's why I'm here. I ended up really building relationship with so many of my students that they would come to me and ask me for systems, for plans, for how to do this and how to do that. And so it just organically grew into this place where I mentor other artists. I just finished my last module of Masterpiece Makers, which was all about course creation. And so here I am in your inbox on Teachable again to offer some of my expertise for all of you wanting to launch your own art courses. I can't wait. So I've been teaching online since 2016. And I launched my very own platform in 2017. And ever since then, I have been launching course after course. And since then, I think that I have launched around 44 online art courses, which is crazy to even think about. So one of the things that I love about teaching online is that I get the flexibility and freedom to create a business surrounding what I want my lifestyle to be, right? And one of the things that I love about teaching online is that I get to share my passion for process and the things that I have learned with so many different students from all walks of life, from countries all over the world. It really is such an amazing opportunity, and I feel incredibly blessed that I get to do this. So yeah, I am excited to dive in and share more with you about why it's important to establish your own very warm-up list, a list of emails of leads who are ready to work with you. So let's go ahead and get started on just talking about the blueprint of what we're talking about today. So today I want to actually give you 3 simple ways to start building your email list today. And it doesn't have to be complicated, right? So we're going to talk about setting up a wait list, which is very simple. We're going to talk about also how to incorporate storytelling on social media to get people off of social media onto your email list. And then we're going to talk about having an irresistible lead magnet and what that could potentially look like for you. Okay, so let's get started. We are going to just start with the simplest way to start gathering emails, and that is to just start a simple wait list. And this is so incredibly powerful if you utilize it in the right way, okay? And it really does help to making sure you have a successful course launch. It allows you to build momentum, and also at the same time, it allows you to do a little bit of market research in the meantime. So let's say you have an idea for an online course and something that you want to teach. Then you're going to go on social media and you're going to talk about that idea. You're going to put it out there into the world and ask students if there's any interest, and if they are interested, to go to your wait list and join the wait list. Now, this is amazing because it kills 2 birds with 1 stone. You get a better idea of, okay, what is the market out there for this? And also really start building your email list. And so I just want to say most email marketing platforms have the capacity now for you to set up your very own landing pages. And a landing page is just basically kind of like a little mini website. It's just a page to send people to. You can link it in your bio. You can post links on social media. And it's just a place to collect emails for your email marketing subscription platform, okay? And I will say that maybe you don't have an idea for a course yet, but you really want to start nurturing your audience and building relationship with them, then another great thing to do is just set up a landing page for a newsletter. It's kind of the same idea, and you don't necessarily have to say this is for a specific course that you're wanting to teach. Okay, so it doesn't need to be complicated, and mine are extremely simple. I actually use Kit as my email marketing platform. They used to be ConvertKits, and so this is an example of one of my wait lists that I have set up. It kind of helps to have different ways for people and different segments of your email list. I'm not going to go in depth on that, but I have a collector's list, and then I have a student list, okay? And I try to keep them fairly separate because there might be some overlap, but not everyone who wants to take one of my courses wants to buy one of my paintings. So this wait list is actually for my in-person workshops and retreats. Okay, so simple. But maybe you set up your wait list and you start telling people and it's crickets, right? I'm going to talk a little bit more about how do you take them, how do you start with crickets and go to clicks, okay? So how do you actually get these people on to your wait list? In comes this idea of utilizing your social media for storytelling and building trust on social media to get them to opt in to your actual email list. So sometimes setting up a wait list it isn't enough. Just keeping it real for you. This is where storytelling plus social media, I don't know what I was going to say, that's where it comes in, okay? So I want you to, on social media, whether it's Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, wherever you're located, I want you to start talking about the behind the scenes of your art process and what it is that you love creating, behind the scenes of what it is that you're actually wanting to teach. Okay, this is the perfect place to start. And people love to hear the story of why you have decided to start teaching online courses. They want to know the why behind it. So how can you capture the attention of your ideal customer to actually opt in to your email list? That's the whole point of this mini training here. So one of the most powerful things to do for marketing is storytelling. And I think artists feel like they don't like that feeling of like, oh my gosh, I'm actually selling something. But a lot of artists are actually really good storytellers, whether they realize it or not. And think about it this way, your art is you telling a story. And so if you can tap in to what story is behind what I'm wanting to create, then marketing is going to be so simple and so easy. So I recommend actually starting by, especially if you're wanting to teach art techniques and a technique-based art course, start by sharing lots of process videos on social media. And I find that those process videos that I like to share now, because of my audience and the audience that I've built, I cannot share a process video without people asking me, what course is that? Can I take a course teaching me this? And that is because I built my business and I've built my audience really strongly, right? And so when you are sharing these process videos, I encourage you to talk about the story behind it. So, one of the things that I like to do are these collage mixed media butterflies, where I collage and then I add cold wax medium over them, and then I take my palette knife and add some oil paint over the top of that. And so I could share that process video and talk about how much I love butterflies, or I could talk about how I love the look of the cold wax medium over the collaged elements in these pieces. Tell a story about the process, and you will be amazed at the interest in and from your future students who are excited to learn from you. Just share your process. Moving along, here's another really important element of story to weave into your social media. And that is to start talking about your own creative journey. And don't discount the experiences that you've been through. It will speak to someone else, whether it's the fact that you didn't start painting until you were 50 years old, or you always had a dream of going to art school and you did, or you didn't go to art school and you're self-taught artist. Whatever it is that brought you along and made you an artist, talk about those things. Be vulnerable. Talk about who you are. What are your interests? Any of those things, because it builds trust with your future students, okay? I always love to talk about my story, and one of the things that I always address is the fact that I picked up a paintbrush after a car accident rearranged my brain, and I suffered a traumatic brain injury. And art became my therapy and my way out of chronic pain and debilitating depression. And so when I share that with my students, there's something about being vulnerable about your journey and your struggles and what you've been through that actually builds trust with whoever it is that you're talking to. We love stories as human beings, and so it's really important, especially if you're wanting to teach online. Okay, and I just want to share this photo with all of you. This is actually me at my very first art show circa 2011. So it's quite a long time ago, and I had no clue what I was doing, right? Okay, so the third thing that you might want to start incorporating on your social media in terms of storytelling is sharing about your favorite materials and supplies. I'm telling you, nothing bonds artists faster than talking about your favorite mediums. And not only that, if you're talking about the mediums that you're wanting to teach in for your courses, it's perfect because you're going to attract the people who want to learn more about those specific mediums, right? And I have found after teaching 44 classes online, I don't think all of them have been technique-based, but a lot of them have been. I have learned that students will sign up or not sign up for your course based on your supply list. So the more people you have in your orbit who love those materials, the better and the easier it is going to be for you to launch an art course in that specific medium. Trust me. People will take one look at a supply list and decide whether or not the course is for them. And so the more you can talk about your favorite materials and supplies up front, the faster you will attract those students who are your most ideal customer. Okay, so again, but also make sure you're storytelling. So, have I ever told you about the first time that I used oil paint? Whatever the story is, or I'll never forget when I started using collage for the first time and got glue all over my fingers and was making a mess. And I just loved that feeling of being messy and getting lost in the process of creating, right? That invites you into my story, right? Okay, so storytelling, number one important thing, and it will help bring those people who are sort of not sure what they think about you to wanting to get onto your email list. So it's really just all about building trust, you guys. That's all it is. All marketing is about building trust with your ideal customer and really taking your customer on a journey. Okay? So we're going to take a minute and talk about the customer journey. And I just want to point out that every interaction should move your customer a little bit further along the path of transformation. So every time you interact with them on social media, every time you direct message them, every time you share a post, a video, every time they receive an email from you, every time they take a free course from you, all of those things are opportunities for you to build trust. And the only way that you get to build trust is by getting to know each other. Okay? That's just the reality of relationships, really. It has nothing to do with selling, but it has everything to do with selling too, right? Okay, so I want to talk about the customer journey. And I want you to start thinking about your customer's journey and the transformation that you want to take each and every student through, okay? So when your customer first finds you, they have no clue who you are, right? And so that very first step is just awareness, right? And that comes from, I had no idea that this existed. I had no idea you existed, right? So you are brought into their awareness, and then hopefully you will pique some sort of curiosity in them, right? And the kind of annoying but exciting thing about social media these days is a lot of times you are only shown to people who already might be a good fit for you, right? The algorithm does do a pretty good job of putting you in front of people who might enjoy the content that you're creating, as long as it's clear what it is that you're creating, right? So you're creating some sort of curiosity, right? Your customer's going, this is kind of interesting, and I really like this person. I'm intrigued by what they have to say. I'm interested in them, right? And then we move from curiosity to actually engagement. And sometimes it actually takes a little bit of time to go from curiosity to engagement. They have to kind of see you a little bit more regularly, consistently. They have to really get an idea of who you are as a person, and then they're maybe ready to engage at some level. Engagement might be as simple as liking one of your posts or commenting, but it also could be this idea of joining your email list, right? And this just says, I'm paying attention to what you have to say now, right? And then after engagement comes consideration. And depending on where you are in your course launching path, you know, if you have an offer that you're putting out there, they are going to start, you know, considering you, right? Could this person actually help me? And do they have something that I need, right? Even if it's a free offer, they are considering saying yes to you in some capacity. And then we have, you know, this final little nudge, right? So for some people, they need this kind of push over the edge They might have some questions about who you are and what you do, and they might need some clarity before they are ready to actually make the decision to say yes. So oftentimes I think having offerings or freebies that kind of speak to your students' objections, that is powerful for this stage, because they want to know very specific answers to their questions. And if you can think through, okay, this is going to be a common objection, and you can address it to everyone, then you have a better chance of the actual purchase, the buy-in, the opt-in, where they actually make a purchase with their money, right? And then the last part is the transformation. And after you are helping your student, serving your student, they have this thing inside of them, or your course actually changed them. And then that's the place where you get all the testimonials from those actual students. So it's important to really think through, where are people on the customer journey and how can I get them to the next step? And I just want to say that joining your email list is probably within the engagement stage, where they're starting to engage with your content and they are paying attention to what you have to say, going into possibly even the consideration phase. So sometimes, even in the midst of this, you really need an irresistible, no-brainer lead magnet to get your ideal customer onto your warm-up list, and also to build further trust. Lead magnets are amazing for that.